It's time that we discuss variables. Do you remember from middle school or elementary school when you learned algebra? You had to solve for what the value of x was. X was some representation of a value. Well, that's kind of what a variable is in programming. It's a container that stores a value. The variable behaves as if it were the value it contains. There's two steps to creating a variable: declaration and assignment. To use a variable, we have to first declare it. We'll use the let keyword, then a unique variable name, like x, then a semicolon. So what we've done is declaration. Each variable name needs to be unique. If I were to declare another variable named x, we would run into an error, a syntax error. Identifier x has already been declared, so your variable names need to be unique. I can declare two variables, x and y, and they both have different names. That is fine, but they can't have the same name. The next step to creating a variable is to assign it a value. Once you declare your variable, you don't need to declare it again. So I'm going to assign x to equal some number like 100. We can use this variable x, and it will behave as if it was the value 100. Let me demonstrate. So if I was to console.log x, well, then it's going to display 100. If I were to change this value to 123, well, x is now 123. You can do both declaration and assignment together. That would look something like this. Let x equal 123. This is both declaration and assignment. If you're creating a program and you know what your value should be, you can assign them a value right away. Sometimes you may want to accept some user input, so then you might do assignment later in 2 steps. It's really up to how you write your program. There's a few different data types in JavaScript. The first is number, like 123. Let's create a descriptive name for our variable like age. We will store a user's age. According to my analytics on YouTube, the average age of my viewers is 25. So let's say that my age is 25. Then if I was to console.log some number like 100, we can use this variable x, and it will behave as if it was the value 100. Let me demonstrate. So if I was to console.log x, well, then it's going to display 100. If I were to change this value to 123, well, x is now 123. You can do both declaration and assignment. Self or for other developers. This is a comment. So when I run this program, then if we comment, you can type a /* it all. Name of the file to our HTML file. We can do that by adding a pair of script tags. We will set the source attribute to be the name of the JavaScript file, index.js. All right, everything should now be linked together. The last thing we'll need is the live server extension in VS Code. Go to extensions. We will search for live server page, but it currently put up a paragraph of text. In VS Code, you can set the font size problem is element. We'll work with some basic output. I'm going to zoom in a little. This is known as a template literal. They're helpful with inserting variables. To save, I'm holding Control S on Windows. There's no apparent output. We have to go to DevTools.
Oh.
So right click on your web page, go to inspect, then console. And here's our basic output. Hello. For an additional line of output, we can console.log again. Let's print a different message. I like pizza. Let's save. And here's my second line of text. I like pizza. And I'm just going to move these windows a little bit. That's better. Throughout much of the series, we will be working with this window. Again, you have to right click on your web page, go to inspect, then go to console. Now within our web page, to create an alert box, you can type window.alert, add a set of parentheses, use as notes for yourself. Anything that comes after will be window alerts are kind of annoying to be honest. H1s are usually my H1, my document of our web page. Let's start, and this can x was some representation of a value. to an error, a syntax error, but they can't have the same name. The next step to creating a variable is to assign it a value. Once you declare your variable, you don't need to declare it again. So I'm going to assign x to equal some number like 100. We can use this variable x, and it will behave as if it was the value 100. Let me demonstrate. So if I was to console.log x, well, then it's going to display 100. If I were to change this value to 123, well, x is now 123. You can do both declaration and assignment together. That would look something like this. Let x equal 123. This is both declaration and assignment. If you're creating a program and you know what your value should be, you can assign them a value right away. Sometimes you may want to accept some user input, so then you might do assignment later in 2 steps. It's really up to you how you write your program. There's a few different data types in JavaScript. The first is number, like 123. Let's create a descriptive name for our variable like age. We will store a user's age. According to my analytics on YouTube, the average age of my viewers is 25. So let's say that my age is 25. Then if I was to console.log my age variable, it would behave as if it were the number 25. Let's create a few more variables. Another example of a number could be price. Let price equal $10.99. Maybe it's $10.99 or some other unit of currency of your choosing. Then we will console.log price. $10.99. What about a GPA, a grade point average? My grade point average is a solid 2.1. It's not great, but C's get degrees. Console.log GPA 2.1. Using a template literal, we can insert a variable using a placeholder. Within console.log, I will use backticks. Let's write a sentence. You are, then to insert a variable, use $, curly braces. Place your variable name within the curly braces. Then we can continue. Then if I was to console.log my age variable, it would behave as if it were the number 25. Let's create a few more variables. Another example of a number could be price. Let price equal $10.99. Maybe it's $10.99 or some other unit of currency of your choosing. Then we will console.log price. $10.99. What about a GPA, a grade point average? My grade point average is a solid 2.1. It's not great, but C's get degrees. Console.log GPA 2.1. Using a template literal, we can insert a variable using a placeholder. Within console.log, I will use backticks. Let's write a sentence. You are, then to insert a variable, use $, curly braces. Place your variable name within the curly braces. Then we can continue our sentence. You are variable age, years old. Let's create another sentence using console.log. Sentence average. My grade point average is a solid 2.1. A variable you assign, curly braces. Let's create another sentence. Price looks better. Feel free to choose some other unit of currency. Okay, let's add a sentence to display our GPA. Inserting a variable, we need variable. You can use console.log. Log, then precede the variable with the grade point average is a solid 2.1. It's not great, but C's get degrees. Console.log GPA 2.1. Using a template literal, we can insert a variable using a placeholder. Within console.log, I will use backticks. Let's write a sentence. You are, then to insert a variable, use $, curly braces. Place your variable name within the curly braces. Then we can continue our sentence. You are variable age, years old. Let's create another sentence using console.log. The price is $ curly braces price. The price is $10.99. I'm going to insert a $ before our price, and that looks better. Feel free to choose some other unit of currency. Okay, let's add a sentence to display our GPA. Console.log. Your GPA is : space. We're inserting a variable. We need $ curly braces. We're displaying our GPA. Your GPA is 2.1. Now, if you need to display the data type of a variable, you can use console.log, then precede the variable with the type of keyword. What is the type of age? Age is a number type. Price is also a number type. Same thing with GPA. They're all numbers. Let's go over a different data type. Let's go over strings. A string is a series of characters. Let's say we have a user's first name. To create a string, you can either use double quotes or single quotes. Personally, I like double quotes. Then you can type in some characters like first name. Let's say my first name is Bro. Feel free to pick your own first name. I will display the type of my first name variable, and it says it's a string, a series of characters. Then I will display my name, console.log, first name, and it is Bro, or whatever your first name is, whatever you put here. Let's include our variable within a template literal. Your name is, add a placeholder, first name. Your name is Bro. What are some other examples of a string? Maybe somebody's favorite food. Favorite string could be an email. Your Bro, I'll add 1, 2, 3. Numbers we can use in arithmetic expressions. Strings, not so much. All right, let's turn these lines into comments. Then I will discuss Booleans. Okay, Booleans are either true or false. Is somebody online or are they off online? So online is a Boolean variable. Then I will insert is a sale or not. I will add my college course. Student use them as if it goes out of DevTools. Full name. Full name. Ends when we reach if statements. All right, now what we're going to do is we will close out of DevTools. We'll display some variables within our web page. So let's delete everything we have. I'll create 3 variables. Let page type in your not in school. I will add 3 paragraph elements. So that's 1, 2, 3. I will give my first paragraph an ID of P1. Then let's do the same with the other 2 paragraphs. Let's rename the second as P2 and the third as P3. So to change the text content of an HTML element, we're going to type document, meaning the document of our web page. Then we will get our element by its ID. Get element by ID. Then within a set of parentheses, within a set of quotes, we will select the ID that we need. Let's start with P1, then add dot text content to change the text content. Then we will set this equal to a variable or a template literal. Let's begin with a variable. So full name. Our P1 element should display your full name. Let's do this with P2. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. P2.text content equals age. It says that I'm 25. And then P3. Let's display student, or better yet, is student. Let's change that. Is student. False. I'm not a student, but you might be, though. That might be true. Then let's display our variables along with some text using a template literal. Let's copy our full name. Your name is, add a placeholder, place our variable name. Your name is brocode, or whatever your name is. Let's cut our age variable. You are variable age, years old. You are 25 years old. And then let's cut is student. Add a template literal. Let's say enrolled. Are you enrolled in school? Add a placeholder, paste our variable. Enrolled, that's false. I'm not in school anymore. All right, everybody, so those are variables. It's a container that stores a value. The variable behaves as if it were the value it contains. There's a couple different basic data types. You have strings, which is a series of text, numbers, and booleans. There's more advanced data types, but we'll cover that later. And well, those are variables in JavaScript. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? So today I need to explain arithmetic operators because, well, programming can sometimes involve a lot of math. Operands are values, variables, etc. In this equation, 11, x, and 5 are all operands. Operators, they can include, but are not limited to, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. In this equation, the addition sign would be the operator. So there's a few things you should know regarding arithmetic operators in JavaScript. So let's begin. Let's pretend that in this scenario we are a teacher. We have a group of students. Let students equals, what's a good class size? Maybe 3 students. Then I will console.log my students variable. And it should be 30. Let's say that a new student joins the class and I need to change this variable. To increase students by 1, I can say students equals, this will reassign my variable, equals the current value of students plus 1. Now we have 31 students. Now for subtraction, that is the minus sign. To subtract a student, we can reassign our variable students equals students minus 1. Now we have 29. Then we have multiplication, which is represented by an asterisk. We will double the number of students we have. Students equals students, asterisk 2 to multiply by 2. We have 60 students. Division is a / We will split our class of students into 2. Students divided by 2. We now have 15. All right, then we have exponents. Exponents is represented by double asterisks. What is students to the power of 2? 900 students. That is a very large class. Maybe it's a lecture or something in a college. So students to the power of 3, that would be, students to the power of 3 would be 27,000. Double asterisks is the exponent operator. Here's another helpful one. It is the modulus operator. It gives you the remainder of any division. So let's say we are going to divide our class into 2. So modulus, which is represented as a percent sign, 2. Well, 30 divides by 2 evenly, so the remainder is 0. If we had a class of 31 students, well, there's one remainder, 1 student. Students modulus 3 would divide my class of 31 students into 3. We would still have 1 student remaining. Since we're reassigning students, we would be replacing 31 students with the value of 1. If you're using the modulus operator, I would recommend creating a separate variable entirely. Let extra students equal our students modulus 3. We have 1 extra student. Just 1. Okay, that is the modulus operator. There is a shortcut for writing these expressions because it can be kind of tedious to write the variable name twice. So let's set students back to 30. I will console.log students. We'll use what is known as augmented assignment operators. To increase students by a number, if we're reassigning it, we can say students plus equals 1 or some other number. Students is now 31. If I were to change 1 to be 2, it's now 32 and 33. Let's do the same thing with subtraction. Students minus equals 1. We now have 29 students. Multiplication, students times equals 2. That would give us 60 students. Students divided by equals 2. We have 15 students. 100 students. Remaining students, 30, 31. To increase a variable by only 1, you can take the name of the variable, then add plus plus. Plus plus is the increment operator. 30 incremented by 1 is the order do you solve multiplication and division and modulo, otherwise known as modulus. Then lastly, addition and subtraction. Let's go through this step by step. Let's see what the result variable is. I will console.log result. So the result is 23. So if we were to walk through this step by step, let's solve anything with parentheses, starting from the left and then working our way to the right. There are no parentheses, we can skip this step. Next is exponents. There is one exponent here. So we would solve 4 to the power of 2, which is 16. Then we will solve multiplication and division to list. A few more exercises. It's operator here, so we solve that first. 12 modulus 5 gives us a remainder of 2. We have some division, we would solve that next. 8 divided by 2 is 4, then addition and subtraction. The result is 6. All right, here's a challenge round. The result is going to be 0.0468. We solve anything with parentheses first. 2 plus 5, that is 7. Then exponents, 2 to the power of 7. I might need a calculator. 2 times 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 128. Then we have 6 divided by 128. Then we have 6 divided by 128, which is 0.046875. And that is our result. All right, everybody, so that is everything you need to know. Then with operator precedence, if you're solving a complex equation. Hey, what's going on, people? So today I'm going to show you how we can accept some user input in JavaScript. Generally, there's 2 good ways of doing this. The easy way is to create a window prompt. The professional way is to create an HTML text box of some sort, and you'll likely need a button to submit the user input. Let's begin with the easy way. We'll create a window prompt. The first thing we should do is declare all of the variables we're going to use. Let's create a variable named username. We'll declare it, but not yet assign it. And then when we assign it, we can set username equal to, and then to create a window prompt, we can type window.prompt, parentheses. Then within the parentheses, our window prompt can contain some text. Let's ask, what's your username?
Let username.
Okay, let's run this and see what happens. What's your username? I will type in my username, press OK. We have this variable username. It will have a value, but we should do something with it. Let's console.log our username. Let's try that again. What's your username? I'll type in my username. Feel free to type in yours. Let's check our DevTools. And here's my username. So that's the easy way to accept user input. With this window prompt, you could assign declaration and assignment together if you want to. You know, that would also work. Now we will accept user input the professional way by creating an HTML text box. We will navigate to our HTML file. Okay, let's create an H1 element that says welcome. We'll need a text box. We'll use a self-closing input tag. I will set the ID of this text box to be my text. I'll create a label for this text box too, because if we're a user, we don't know what we're supposed to type in here. I will create a label. The text within the label will be username. Then a submit button. Button. The text will be submit. I'll put this on a new line. I'll add a break tag. Maybe two. Make it look nice. For the ID of the button, I'll set the ID to be my submit. Let's see if this works. This is a little advanced. When we click on this button, we're going to execute a function, but we need to select this button. We will access the document of our web page, get element by ID. The ID that we're getting is the ID of the button, my submit. So within quotes, type the name of the ID. Follow this with dot on click equals. Here we'll write. Everything we're going to do after clicking the button. We need a function. Function parentheses, curly braces. Everything between this set of curly braces is everything we'll do when we click on the button. So first we need a username variable outside the function. When we click on the button, get the text from this text box. We will reassign our username, then set this equal to the text from the text box. We'll use document.getElement by ID. The ID that we're getting this time is my text. We need the value of the text box, so follow this with dot value. All right, then to
Alright.
test this, let's console.log the username. All right, let's type in our username, press submit, then check DevTools. Yeah, there it is. Okay, let's replace console.log. We'll change the text content or h1 element. I will give this h1 element a unique ID. Let's say my h1. We need to select my h1 element. Document.getElement by ID. The ID was my h1. We are changing the text content equal to, let's use a template literal, hello, username. All right, let's try this again. Type in your username, press submit, and that should change the h1 element. Hello, whatever your name is. All right, everybody, so those are two different ways to accept user input. You can use
Alright.